Hi, and welcome back to Type 1 Diabetes Explained. Today, we're going to take a look at 15 things that you shouldn't say to someone with Type 1 diabetes and discuss why you shouldn't say them. Number 1. Did you get diabetes because you ate too much sugar? Type 1 diabetes is not caused by eating too much sugar, being overweight, or being inactive. It is believed to be caused by a combination of environmental and genetic factors. Even type 2 is not necessarily caused by poor diet or exercise, as an otherwise perfectly healthy person can still get type 2 diabetes regardless of fitness. Saying that someone got type 1 diabetes because of their diet or lifestyle is not only scientifically incorrect, but it places blame on them when there's nothing that they could have done to prevent themselves from getting type 1. Number 2. Do you have the bad type of diabetes? There's not a bad nor good type of diabetes. While type 2 is often considered milder, each comes with its own challenges and both require a high level of commitment and dedication to manage. Number 3. Can you eat that? As a general rule, don't question or critique what a person with diabetes is eating unless you are responsible for their health. That means doctors and parents or guardians. People with type 1 can eat sugar, and in fact they sometimes need to in order to stay alive if their blood sugar is too low. Even if their blood sugar isn't low, people with type 1 can still enjoy sugary treats responsibly. Number 4. You don't look like you have diabetes. Diabetes, particularly type 1, does not affect one particular body type. There are people who have type 1 who are underweight, people who are overweight, and everywhere in between. Diabetes is considered to be an invisible condition, meaning that you cannot tell if a person has it just by looking at them. Number 5. Are you well controlled? This question poses several problems. First, it's prying into a person's private medical information. How well a person controls their diabetes should be between them, their doctor, and whoever else they decide to share that information with. Although you may be trying to show that you care by asking this, it also opens the door to blame and shame if a person is not well controlled. Unless you're their medical provider or a parent or guardian, it's not your business and not appropriate to ask how well a person controls their diabetes. Number 6. You'll get better if you eat healthier and exercise more. Nothing like a little bit of unsolicited health advice, right? It is true that a healthy diet and regular exercise can help manage both types of diabetes, but it can't cure them. Suggesting that simply diet and exercise routines can alleviate all of a person's challenges managing diabetes just isn't true. In fact, try looking up a list of famous athletes who have type 1. These are frequently people who are in the best shape possible who still need to manage and control their blood sugars. Number 7. Your blood sugar is high or low. Did you do something wrong? People with type 1 get high and low blood sugars all the time. After all, we have to rely on methods that are highly unsophisticated when compared to the fine-tuned system that is a working pancreas. While human error can lead to these fluctuations, sometimes we can do everything right and still go out of range. Just because a person with type 1's blood sugar is not in the ideal range does not mean that they made a mistake or aren't doing good enough at keeping it under control. Number 8. At least it's manageable, it could be worse. Yes, type 1 is manageable when compared to a lot of conditions, and many people who have type 1 are thankful that it is still possible to live a relatively normal life. While this statement was likely intended well, it minimizes the struggle that people with type 1 still face. Yes, things could be worse, but that doesn't mean that managing type 1 is easy or painless. It still is an everyday struggle for many. Number 9. I know all about diabetes. My grandma has it. Lots of people like to think that they are experts on diabetes. After all, around 1 in 10 Americans have some type of the condition, so statistically, you probably know at least a few people who have it. However, no amount of outside information can ever replace the experience of actually having it. While someone with a family member may spend a lot of time thinking about it and watching them treat it, a person with diabetes deals with it 24/7, 365, and is likely far more experienced than someone who has only ever been an observer. This statement is often said right before giving out advice on how to treat diabetes, but remember, unless you are that person's medical provider or caretaker, it's best to keep your advice to yourself, even if you think it would be beneficial. Number 10. The pump will cure it, right? Unfortunately, insulin pumps are far from a cure. While many people with type 1 find blood sugar management much easier while using a pump, they still have to put a lot of thought into keeping it in range. The pumps themselves also need to be changed anywhere from every day to every 3 days, which on its own is a laborious and often painful process. Just because someone with type 1 has a pump doesn't mean that their lives are all of a sudden substantially easier. Pumps are a great management option, but not a cure. Number 11. I just ate a bunch of sugar. Now I'm going to get diabetes. This goes back to number 1. People don't get type 1 diabetes because they ate too much sugar, so saying that you're going to get it after eating a bunch of sweets isn't correct, is an overused joke, and can come across as hurtful to people with type 1 diabetes because it implies that they are responsible for causing their condition by eating too much sugar. Number 12. I hope you don't get complications. People with type 1 and type 2 diabetes are often very aware of the painful, dangerous, and deadly complications that potentially lie in their future, so there's no need to remind them. While the statement itself is well-meaning, it is best to let their medical providers address the complications with them and say something encouraging, like, "I wish you good health," which takes a lot more optimistic view of the future. Number 13. My uncle had diabetes, and he lost his legs. Once again, people with diabetes are often very aware of what happens if you don't manage your blood sugar and don't need to hear horror stories about others' experiences. What may seem like an interesting medical story to you could very well be a potential reality for people with diabetes, so it's best to keep those things to yourself. If a person seems to need a reality check about the seriousness of their condition to encourage them to better manage their diabetes, this is best left to their medical provider. Number 14. Why are you wearing all of this equipment? Managing type 1 can require a lot of machinery, from blood sugar meters to lancing devices, insulin pens to CGMs and pumps. A person with type 1 is likely to have a lot of equipment with them, some of which may be attached directly to their body, in the case of CGMs and pumps. Rather than bringing attention to and questioning why a person needs to have everything, try asking respectfully what each device is. Most people with type 1 are happy to explain it to someone who is genuinely curious. Number 15. You're diabetic. This is one that you might not have heard about. Some people feel that the word diabetic comes with an unnecessary stigma that blames a person for having diabetes. Instead, it's becoming more common to refer to someone as a person with diabetes, to emphasize how their importance as a human being is not defined or hindered by a medical condition. This is a relatively new change, and not everybody feels the same about it. Some people may prefer that you don't use the label diabetic, while others might not mind at all. This recommendation was formally introduced by the American Diabetes Association in 2016 to align with the American Diabetes Association's position that diabetes does not define people. Now you know 15 things that you shouldn't say to someone with diabetes. Hopefully this helps in your relationships with people in your life who have type 1 diabetes. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.